Maybe that's all I need, Bloom.
What's that?
All I need is Keanu kisses.
That's all any
How
of us
about you?
need. Always. Relax.
Ay.
It's like a spa treatment.
Yeah. Relax. And let's get this thing going.
You got a team, here's a word of the wise. You want to dominate your league? Go to football, guys.
Football. I'm living in a fantasy. Football. Got everybody mad at me. Football. Cause every game I had to win. Football. I gotta be a champion. Football. I'm living in a fantasy.
It is the week 1 recap here on the Audible. Cecil, Lammey, and Sigmund Bloom going over Carolina and Atlanta is our first game up, Bloom. And well, Desmond Ridder didn't have to do a whole lot, and Atlanta gets the win. 24-10 is the final score. But we're going to start with the Carolina side with Bryce Young watching the rookie out there making some rookie mistakes, which is fine. 20-38, 146 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 INTs in this game. The touchdown was to Hayden Hurst, 5 for 41 and a touch early on. You saw Terrace Marshall get 2 for 23, Laviska Shenault 2 for 16, Adam Thielen, a PPR machine, not really, 2 for 12. Miles Sanders on the ground, 18 for 72. Chuba Hubbard, 9 for 60. Sanders also had 4 catches for 26 yards, which do count, and Chuba had 2 for 9. So we got some data points on Carolina.
Mhm.
Not a win, but we learned. And Bloom, what they say is you either win or you learn, and when you learn, you win. So guess what? We won today.
Yeah, we all won today. And really, this is a week more about receiving information than worrying about what you got right or what you got wrong. It was a learning day for Bryce Young. Jesse Bates, defensive player of the week, 2 interceptions, a forced fumble, and nobody in this passing game was viable except for Hayden Hurst. And I think that's probably what we can expect going forward. Rookie quarterbacks are going to make it tough for more than one target to be viable every week. And hey, Atlanta's defense looks like they're improved. Miles Sanders had the big role we're looking for in the passing game, looked good except for the fumble. But Chuba Hubbard also looked like a live runner, and probably we can put away that talk of Raheem Blackshear pushing him for the backup role. Also, by the way, Carolina's defense loses J.C. Horn, and Carolina faces the Saints next week.
Oh, boy. Atlanta side, there's Desmond Ridder, 15-18, 115, 1 touchdown, no INTs. But oh my God, did we learn about this running back situation? Because Tyler Algier is still going to be involved, which is what they said all offseason, Bloom.
Yeah.
But the 2 rushing touchdowns benefited his fantasy day if you had him in as a flex play. 15 for 75 and 2 on the ground. Bijan Robinson is wonderful to watch. It made me happy, unlike the Broncos.
Yeah.
10 for 56 for Robinson.
17 points, Cease.
Again, Bijan Robinson also had 6 for 27 in that sweet receiving touchdown, breaking ankles out there, looking great. Kyle Pitts 2 for 44. Oh, Drake London nothing. Oh, Matt Collins 3 for 31. Oh, so yeah, Ridder didn't have to do much. They won. They're feeling good, but can you do a little bit more?
Right. Ridder did his job, short passing, conservative, 18 pass attempts. So when Atlanta's defense and running game can control the game, this is what Ridder's going to do, which is terrible if you have Kyle Pitts. And again, maybe we'll see in a more competitive game next week against Green Bay, which should be more competitive, that they have to come out of their shell in the passing game, and it's going to fluctuate week to week because Bijan Robinson is a pretty compelling target with his 6 catches and what he can do after the catch. So if they're able to go run heavy like they were today, boy, it's going to be rough, especially for Drake London. But hey, Devontae Smith started out with the 0 last year. I'm not saying the situations are that similar. Bijan Robinson looked great on his touches, tremendous on his touchdown, one of the highlights of the day. But this is a committee, and in the running game part of it, I think Algier's the lead back. He's probably going to be the lead back in games with scripts like this, at least. Going to get the goal line carries. He was on the field more in the 20s, and sees he fits the identity of the running game. Right? Algier is just a no-nonsense downhill runner. He's a more physical runner, not to take anything away from Bijan Robinson, but that is Algier's strong suit, and that's a good mode for this team. But I think Atlanta put the rest of the division on notice. I think it's going to be interesting to see them face, again, upstart Green Bay team who had a pretty good week 1.
Houston, Baltimore, I was just scratching my head, Bloom, because it is what they call a head scratcher. Baltimore gets the win 25-9, but again, we're learning, and the Dobbins getting banged up. We'll get to that in a little bit. Let's talk Houston. CJ Stroud, 242, no touchdowns, no INTs, though. Sacked 5 times. Okay, so again, rookies learning, just like Bryce Young. I don't care really what they do. because I have certain expectations for both of these young men, and they're quite high. So it was nice to see them go through their learning curve here in week one. Damian Pierce, 11 for 38. There's that. Nico Collins, 6 for 80. Robert Woods, 6 for 57. Tank Dell, 3 for 34 in this contest. So really, no one was putting many chips on the Texans offense. And this is what you get, 9 points and a bunch of missed opportunities.
Yeah, and the chips that were being invested were on Damian Pierce, who didn't have that clear lead back role. He did at least get a lot more looks in the passing game than Devin Singletary, but still, this is not what we were looking for. CJ Stroud, this is what we expected, not necessarily what we were looking for. What we were looking for is there going to be a viable fantasy target? I think Nico Collins could be that guy. Robert Woods was a solid possession receiver. We'll see about Tank Dell. Dalton Schultz, not that guy. How much of it was Baltimore's defense? Baltimore's defense is pretty good, although they lost Marcus Williams to a torn pec. He's a really important player in the back of that defense. Rookie versus rookie, Houston, Indianapolis next week.
Yeah, okay. Lamar Jackson. Okay. Todd Monken. Okay. 17 or 22, 169 yards. No touchdowns, 1 INT. Huh. Lamar Jackson, 6 for 38 on the ground. Okay. Zay Flowers, 9 for 78. Okay. That makes me happy. Bloom, I'm desperately searching for things that make me happy. That's an off-air conversation. 2 for 37 for Odell Beckham Jr. Rashad Bateman played 3 for 35. There's J.K. Dobbins, who did get your rushing touchdown before he got hurt again. Justice Hill, 2 rushing touchdowns. Stop making Justin Hill a thing. Well, 2 rushing touchdowns. Okay. No Mandrews. How much of no Travis Kelce, no Mark Andrews this week. Okay. They make big differences. Although we love Isaiah Likely at a catch for 4 yards. That was it. So they win. We thought that they would win. They win by the margin we thought they would win. It just didn't look real good.
No, it didn't feel good, but it's going to get better, right? You mentioned Mark Andrews. I think that you still have Lamar Jackson establishing chemistry with Odell Beckham. Of course, the chemistry's there with Zay Flowers. The running game still is not getting out of neutral, and all in all, I think you're going to see improvement as they get more accustomed to the offense. And Lamar Jackson was sloppy with the ball. He had a bad interception. So all the touchdowns were scored on the ground by running backs. It's going to get better. It's going to get better next week against Cincinnati. But on the when we look at what is going on with this offense, it is a lot of Zay Flowers on short passes, not Isaiah Likely. Bateman got a few targets, but it looks like that chemistry is there. J.K. Dobbins. I feel so bad for folks that took Dobbins because he was getting the targets. He was leading the backfield, and he got a catch inside the 5, got spun around. You could just tell when he got up, something didn't feel right, and it is a torn Achilles. So we'll be talking about this on the Waiver Wire Show Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern live. And I would say that if Justice Hill is going to go for more than Gus Edwards actually looked a little better running the ball. Hill just got the touchdowns. If Edwards is cheaper, maybe it's the better pickup. But this running game makes me think there isn't going to necessarily be a good pickup. Also, a lot of offensive line injuries today. Ronnie Stanley, kind of important for this offense. He's a little banged up. Texans defense was game competitors with D'Amico Ryans, and so will Cincinnati's defense next week.
Yeah, Cincinnati. Okay, Joey B. Glad you got paid. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
24-3, the final score. The Browns win. Defense is legit. Ground game is legit. Deshaun Watson is still Deshaun Watson. But let's talk about Joe Burrow, shall we? 14-31, 82 yards. T. Higgins had 8 targets and no catches. You couldn't do that if you tried to do it. And they did it even though they were trying to connect. 5 for 39 for Jamar Chase. Joe Mixon, 13 for 56 on the ground. 3 for 17 as a receiver. Irv Smith, 3 for 17. You didn't have Kelce. You grab Irv Smith, but it didn't do anything. Just nothing here today from Cincinnati.
Right. The best thing you can say about the Cincinnati offense today is Joe Mixon didn't look bad. Joe Mixon didn't look like he's in decline. And he does look like he could get some more touches than last year because Chris Evans, Travion Williams, not Samaje Perine, Chase Brown actually inactive today. But it was just a terrible all-around bad day for this offense. This was the weather. Jim Schwartz defense, Cleveland's defense, resurgent with Jim Schwartz. Joe Burrow maybe not 100%. The fact they took him out when it was 24-3 with about 5 minutes left. Hey, there are quarterbacks, Joe Burrow being one of them, that can come back from 24-3. It's possible. They said, nah, not today. Live to fight another day. Cincinnati generally starts slow. even these good Cincinnati teams. But again, there's some urgency because we haven't totally digested it yet, but you never want to start 0-2 in the NFL, and you certainly don't want to start 0-2 in the division, and that's what's going to happen if Cincinnati loses to Baltimore next week.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching out for that one. On the Cleveland side, Nick Chubb delivers because that's what he does. That's who he is, 18 for 106. Deshaun Watson had a rushing touchdown, 45 yards on the ground. Then 154 through the air, 1 touchdown passing, 1 INT, the touchdown passing. Harrison Bryant, nobody started him. Elijah Moore, 3 for 43. Amari Cooper, 3 for 37. David Njoku, why didn't you get 3? 2 for 24. Nick Chubb also had 4 catches for 21 yards. So again, learning, seeing, growing, developing opinions. I don't know if my opinion is going to change very much about Cleveland after this game, even though they won big.
No, it's more the defense. We knew Nick Chubb is the point of the spear of this offense. And Deshaun Watson had a few moments. The touchdown run was a football awareness play near the goal line and late in the first half. But he doesn't look like pre-absence Deshaun Watson. And even his fantasy day is one that it worked out for you. But I don't think you're going to see him get back to the top 5 fantasy quarterbacks this year. I don't think you're going to see Amari Cooper be a consistent target in fantasy better than a wide receiver 3 flex. He and Elijah Moore get the same amount of targets in this game, and Moore also gets some touches in the running game. Like you said, you got Njoku and Chubb getting those 4 catches. So now Chubb has a chance to really set a career high in catches in addition to what he's doing out there. And that's still with Jerome Ford getting 15 carries. He had a fumble, wasn't very efficient. So we're going to watch this. But again, kind of like Atlanta, this is a team that wants to run the ball when they're leading. 33 carries for running backs is not that outlandish. That's what they had today. They did lose Jack Conklin, right tackle. Looks like a potential serious injury. So we got to watch it. Yeah, I hate seeing this stuff. We talked about in the chat room already. Preseason is extended into week 1, maybe even week 2. That includes injuries. These guys are getting ramped up. And Monday night football sees Cleveland goes to Pittsburgh.
Hey, everybody. Not a lot of confidence there.
No, not looking forward to it.
We'll get to that in just a little bit, but as the Audible rolls on, it is Tampa Bay and Minnesota up next. And you mentioned it, the preseason extending to week 1, because a lot of the early scores are like, what's going on? Like, what's the meme of the stick figure that's like got the stick and he's poking something like, come on, do something. NFL, do something. And they kind of did a little bit later on, but it's like, NFL, do something. Come on. What's going on? Tampa Bay. Well, they win over Minnesota 20-17 in this contest. Baker the Baby Maker 21-34, 173, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. Mike Evans not happy with that Devil line. Get out of here, Devil. 6 for 66, 1 touchdown there. Trey Palmer, speedster. Hey, at least the Cornhuskers got some sort of win. Anyway, 1 touchdown there for him. Chris Godwin 5 for 51 in this one. Cade Otton, I need a tight end. 2 for 19. Rashad White, 17 for 39.
Just what you expected.
It's what you're going to get, people. 2 for 10. They actually should use him more as a receiver, honestly. And I know Rashad a little bit. And I would just say, like, 17 carries isn't what you want. If he's going to touch the ball 19 times, make like half of that Eddie, some targets at least. I'm not saying 9 catches, but either way, I'd like to see 5-6 catches. But anyway, they won, Bloom. Yay, Tampa.
Yeah. See, isn't it so much easier to like Baker Mayfield as the quarterback everybody counted out, who still is going to be plucky and giving his team a chance to win, than the number 1 pick who's so full of himself after 1 year? I mean, this makes sense, right? This is the Baker Mayfield that makes sense. And he went into Minnesota and he fires his team up. You remember rookie year, Cleveland? He does fire his team up. He does get his guys to play. And he does get Mike Evans good targets downfield. I think that's going to work out. If you were taking Mike Evans in the 5th, 6th round saying, that just doesn't make sense, even with Baker Mayfield. Might have been right, at least based on how this one went. Chris Godwin did okay. Like we said, nothing. This is what you wanted 20 guaranteed touches or 18 touches. You got 19 touches from Rashad White, but that's about what they're going to be worth. But Mayfield stands tall against that Brian Flores Miami defense. And there was a penalty on the field goal that Minnesota committed that allowed Tampa to extend a drive. And that was kind of the difference in the game. Although some people might say that this is just regression to the mean. We'll talk about that in a second. Chicago licking their wounds and having to face Baker Mayfield next week.
Minnesota side, Kirk Cousins, 33 of 44, 344, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. Justin Jefferson, 9 for 150. Jordan Addison, 4 for 61 and a touchdown. Love that Joker. Love hearing about Jordan Addison. Love seeing it come to fruition on the field. And TJ Hawkinson, 8 for 35. PPR leagues, you'll take it. It's enough, buddy, enough. Alexander Madison, 11 for 34 on the ground. Receiving touchdown. Yay? Question mark? 3 for 10 as a receiver with that receiving touchdown. So Minnesota, what are they? 11 one-score games or whatever the number was last year.
Right.
Well, you didn't get a W this time.
Exactly. And I think there's a lot of people nodding their heads along as they watch the result of this game. But really, a lot of things broke against Minnesota. Kirk Cousins committing 3 turnovers early, very productive. And you see this Tampa defense, which does resemble the defense that won the Super Bowl. And what we remember about these Tampa defenses, you can't run on them, but you can pass on them. And that's how it went for Minnesota. Some big numbers for Kirk Cousins, but those turnovers, crucial moments, ending potential scoring drives. And that's why they lost, in addition to that penalty on the Tampa Bay field goal attempt. Madison, not very good as a runner, did get some broken tackle action balance through contact on his receiving touchdown. And at least Ty Chandler doesn't look like a threat to him. But this is going to be a pass offense. Justin Jefferson, yeah, he was worth the number one. TJ Hawkinson, yeah, he's going to catch a lot of short passes. Jordan Addison, yeah, he's going to do more with his targets than Adam Thielen did with his. And hey, KJ Osborne, I think, got 2 targets in the end zone or in the red zone, plus another pass interference. So this can be a pass offense that feeds 3, maybe 4 mouths, but you expected them to lose the close games more often this year. Week 1 shows that can happen. Also, Christian Darrisaw and Garrett Bradbury got banged up on the offensive line. So let's watch that, because they're going to face Philadelphia on a short turnaround. Not exactly the defensive line you want to face with a banged up offensive line.
Not at all. Tennessee and the New Orleans Saints is up next. Saints win 16-15. Okay, everyone's excited for football to be back. I'd be excited for good football to be back. But either way, Ryan Tannehill, 16-34, 198 yards, 3 INTs. The Will Levis countdown has begun. I know, Malik Willis, whatever. DeAndre Hopkins, 7 for 65. Nick Westbrook-Ikine, 4 for 58. Why are we talking about this? You started Derrick Henry, you started Hopkins. That was it. Yeah. Henry had 15 for 63. I love seeing Tyjae Spears get that, some work out there a little bit. 3 for 27 in this one. And then Derrick Henry had 2 for 56. So yeah, there maybe you had Traylon Burks, like maybe big Titans fan. Where's Daniel at? Right, he's a big Titans fan. Yeah, I love him. Love him. Simpkins. Yeah, man, great. One of the good ones. Maybe you had Traylon Burks in and 2 for 18, and Chiggy Okonkwo. Oh man, I love him. Nothing.
Yeah, like you said, he's not great football. The Titans get out of the gate with a field goal off of a fumbled kickoff by the Saints. And as you said, this offense is going to flow through Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins. But these are not prime Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins, okay? Hopkins missing out on some contested catches. Saints being able to jump routes. Tannehill not fooling anybody. Like you said, those 3 interceptions played big in this one. Henry looked good as a receiver, not as many breakout runs. New Orleans defense is just going to remain a limiting factor for fantasy. But I do think we need to talk about Tyjae Spears. Like you said, Cecil got a big downfield target that Ryan Tannehill just missed. He looked explosive on his touches. He needs more work. I think this is one of those situations where don't look at the volume, look at the type of volume he got and how he did with that volume. And Tennessee also, in New Orleans down here, Cecil, they blame the refs a lot when the Saints lose. The first year I was here was with the blind refs were everywhere in the parades. And they took away a defensive touchdown from Tennessee. I don't understand. They blew the play dead. They're not supposed to do that. On the review, it sure looked like the ball's out of Derek Carr's hand, but they said it wasn't. So the refs help out the Saints. A hard-fought game. That's what every Tennessee game is going to be. Probably another hard-fought game next week against the Chargers.
New Orleans side of things, Derek Carr, 23 of 33, 305, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. And Rashid Shaheed, of course it was Rashid Shaheed, 5 for 89 and a touchdown. Chris Olave is going to do Chris Olave things. It's amazing and wonderful, 8 for 112 in this contest. Michael Thomas can't guard Mike, 5 for 61, okay. Juwan Johnson needed a tight end, 3 for 36. Jamal Williams, 18 for 45. Where's the 17 touchdowns? 2 for 7 as a receiver. So, yeah. And the great thing about this is you see what it means for Derek Carr to be playing somewhere else and for someone not named Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, and you see what it means for the Saints to have a quarterback that they know if they need to make a 3rd down conversion in the 4th quarter, that has a reasonable chance of making that conversion. I think
Right.
it calms the team down, and the defense is still going to lead this team. Running game could not get going against Tennessee, but you did see Carr slinging it out there with Chris Olave. Got a little banged up, but he's going to deliver. Rashid Shaheed, who had some groin issues in training camp, but the speed and targeted in key situations, and it's a 3-man show here with Michael Thomas, who does enough to at least consider starting him next week against Carolina. Again, J.C. Horn is probably going to be out for them. Juwan Johnson did okay. Taysom Hill didn't do much. And there was a big block punt in this one that makes me think of Steve Gleason. There are very few documentaries that were so hard to watch these that we actually turned it off. It was actually like too much. But it's a really incredible story, his story with ALS. And he's still kicking it. Still see him in flag football at City Park on Fridays. See a big block punt in the Superdome in week 1. Get a little chills, and Saints wins. Ugly football seats, they don't care here if it's a win.
Yeah, win is a win. And speaking of ugly football, the Colts were beating the Jaguars. And then the Jaguars woke up. So, okay, you did that. Good. Lots of good things to take away. 31-21, the final score. Jags over the Colts. Trevor Lawrence, 24-32, 241, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. Calvin Ridley, perfect. 8 for 101 and a touchdown. When that move was made, and we all thought, wow, that could really work out. Yep. Zay Jones, 5 for 55 and 1 touchdown. Keep it up. Evan Ingram, 5 for 49. And then the backfield, what's Tank Bigsby going to do? Well, he got a touchdown today, rushing touchdown. Travis Etienne, 18 for 77 and a touch. Tank, 7 for 13 and a touch, both on the ground. And Etienne, 5 for 27 as a receiver. Christian Kirk, 1 for 9. Oh, but that was like the lone disappointing performance, unless you talk about the first half Jaguars. But I guess they were up 14-7. Anyway, let's talk about the Jaguars.
Yeah, I think what you're seeing is in this Doug Peterson offense with Calvin Ridley, Trevor Lawrence is one of those quarterbacks you're not going to keep him down for the whole game. You might keep him down for part of the game, but eventually they're going to break through. And they got Indy got the benefit of one of the weirdest defensive touchdowns you ever see. Again, they're letting them play. It was one where it was a fumble that went forward from the quarterback. Again, if the ball's not in the quarterback's hand, if it goes forward, it's not a pass. Tank Bigsby picked it up and just kind of stood there. The ball was live. Game was still going and got slapped out of his hand. And DeForest Buckner, I think, recovered it for a touchdown for Indianapolis. So really, this game could have been not quite as tight down the stretch. But the big story for Jacksonville is Calvin Ridley, a clear number 1 receiver. No, we weren't ahead of ourselves taking him in the 4th or the 3rd. Honestly, he could end up being a top 5 receiver if this keeps up. And Evan Ingram was still okay. Zay Jones was okay and had an incredible one-handed catch for a touchdown. One of the plays of the day was Christian Kirk. We knew someone was going to get hurt by Calvin Ridley being added to this pass offense. It looks like it's going to be Kirk. And look, even if Kirk's going to have his spike weeks, it's going to be who's going to be consistent. Are we going to get 2 out of the 3 of Zay and Ingram and Kirk week to week? Because we know that Ridley's going to get his. We know that Etienne's going to get his. More involved, doing better in the passing game, had the touchdown to ice the game. Even with Tank Bigsby getting a short yardage touchdown, Etienne was a great play today. And Bigsby also had a ball clank off his hands for an interception. So it wasn't an auspicious debut for Bigsby, even though they wanted to be using him. Also, Brandon Scherf, another offensive line injury, another good offensive lineman. He went down in this one. Jacksonville, you got a nice win in the division. Now you got to face Kansas City.
Yeah, here we go. Anthony Richardson talk. And I can't remember. It was my buddy KB. He had Richardson, and then I can't remember who his other quarterback was. Hell, it might have been Lawrence. But he was like, am I starting Richardson every week? I was like, well, I'd play matchups. I love Trevor Lawrence. But Richardson, he can be a top 10 fantasy quarterback because he can run. Like, yeah, okay, let's talk about it. Richardson, 24-37, 223, 1 touchdown, 1 INT, and then 10 for 40 on the ground with a rushing touchdown. Michael Pittman, 8 for 97 and a touchdown. Kylan Granson was your answer at tight end? I don't know. 4 for 39. Josh Downs, 3 for 30. They're going to use more. Not really. Deion Jackson, 13 for 14 on the ground. Zach Moss, courtesy line, please. Like, yeah, just not a lot here. Not a lot at all outside of Anthony Richardson and Michael Pittman.
And Richardson had some bad moments. At the end of the game, he could have had another touchdown. Got hurt, though. We'll have to watch the practice reports to find out what's going on with him for next week against Houston. You also had not exactly a great running day for Deion Jackson. So you're looking at Jake Funk, who actually looked better than Jackson. Evan Hall left with an injury. Maybe Zach Moss will be ready to play. But we're also hearing that Jonathan Taylor's going to be ready to play in week 5. And it wasn't like Jonathan Taylor, I think, would have changed the outcome of this game. Again, when we factor in that touchdown. But Anthony Richardson almost changed the outcome of this game, and Shane Steichen helped him. So you did see a passing game that was highly structured, get the ball out quickly, quick passes, quick reads, and funneling the balls we saw in the preseason to Michael Pittman. So Michael Pittman, so you have these guys with suspect quarterbacks that are clear number ones, like Pittman, good. DJ Moore, not as good. Derek London, terrible. But you can see you can't just put these all in the same category and say avoid them all or take them all. Hence, this is fantasy football. This is why we're here. And we pretend that we can somehow take advantage of things that we understand. We understand today Anthony Richardson getting a rushing touchdown, Anthony Richardson better than expected as a passer. As long as he's healthy, he's going to be a hit for fantasy. I don't know who else, honestly, in this offense until Jonathan Taylor comes back, except for Michael Pittman. And I certainly look forward to watching Anthony Richardson. And I do think we can feel good about the way that Shane Steichen has set him up as his game where it is right now to translate to fantasy points.
I try to hide my feelings, Bloom, when
Yeah.
it comes to Pittsburgh. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm an analyst. I can't be a fan of any team.
Yeah.
But man, it sucks when they get their
Yeah.
ass kicked like they did.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joe.
Yeah.
Against the San Francisco 49ers, 30-7. The final score. Steelers go down. 49ers go W. And Brock Purdy says, I'm dealing 19 of 29, 220. 2 touchdowns, no INTs, both touchdowns. Brandon Ayuk can't stop Brandon. 8 for 129 to 2. And it made me feel so good remembering the days when Brandon was in Kyle's doghouse. And just how like Kyle stayed true and he told Brandon like do these things and you will play and you will shine, and he is shining. Deebo Samuel 5 for 55 in this one. George Kittle 3 for 19. Oh, Christian McCaffrey everything. 22 for 152 and a touchdown, also 3 for 17 as a receiver. So here we go. 49ers fans feel good. Steelers fans, well, eat another Roethlisberger.
Ugh. See, you know what I was thinking as I was watching this game? The 49ers are a well-coached team.
Mm-hmm.
They're just a well-coached team. I'm not saying the Steelers aren't a well-coached team, but not in the same way San Francisco is. Brock Purdy's for real, at least the things that this offense asks him to do. He sometimes lacks pocket awareness. That's TJ Watt. And that's what's terrible for the Steelers. TJ Watt, 3 sacks, forces some fumbles, and the Steelers still get blown out. So Cam Hayward also gets banged up in this one. That's no bueno. Christian McCaffrey looks great. And sees, I think we know who won the tug of war. It's Shanahan. If McCaffrey is the clear engine of the offense like he was today, then John Lynch he's riding in the back seat. And Christian McCaffrey's in the front seat for your team to a victory. Elijah Mitchell not doing as much. Brandon Ayuk, like you said, even when Patrick Peterson had perfect coverage, and I mean perfect coverage, there wasn't even a window.
He threw it under his underarm.
I
watched Peterson. I was like, wait a second, he's right there, and it went through his underarm.
Through his underarm.
Amazing.
And Ayuk caught it. So that's the chemistry between Purdy and Ayuk, and we cannot ignore that. And Deebo Samuel still looks good. Kittle, you knew there was going to be days like this. But just San Francisco looks ready. They look like they're in midseason form, although as we saw with the Rams in Seattle, you always say divisional matchups, you never know next week against those Rams. Steelers have a divisional matchup. I don't care the matchup, Cease. I don't want to talk about the Steelers.
Well, especially when Kenny Pickett's getting sacked 5 times. Like, come on, kid. And having Pickett throw 46 times is not a recipe for success. 232, 1 touchdown, 2 INTs. Pat Freiermuth had the touchdown. Allen Robinson, 5 for 64. Deontay Johnson, 3 for 48. Calvin Austin, 6 for 37. George Pickens, 5 for 36. Why am I not talking about the backfield? Oh, yeah, 6 for 31 for Najee. 3 for 6 for Jaylen Warren. And Warren had 5 catches for 12 yards. And Najee had 2 catches for 2 yards. So, like, you just get down. I mean, 10-0 after 1. 20-7 after 2, like they're just turtle on their back.
They didn't look like they belonged on the same field as the 49ers.
Right.
It's the same old Matt Canada offense. It's the same Steelers offense. And look, some of this is San Francisco's defense. We're going to watch San Francisco step through the league and probably make a lot of offenses look bad. So this is probably going to be below the middle, the median for the Steelers, but it's still not encouraging after the preseason they had. Pickett had 1 good drive, basically. It was no huddle drive. And Steelers need answers. I mean, I know that probably Mike Tomlin's old school and you want to have no huddle because your defense doesn't get to recharge or whatever, but this isn't doing it. Deontay Johnson, hamstring, ruled out. I don't think we're going to see him on Monday night. We'll see. Pat Fryermuth has a chest injury. I'm not sure about him. And yeah, you've got Pickens, you've got Allen Robinson, you've got Calvin Austin now. Not excited to play any of these guys. Not excited to play Najee Harris, who had the one good run. I'm not excited to play Jaylen Warren, even though he looked spry and got a lot of catches in this one. I think we're looking at a continuation of last year's season. It can get better than it was against a tough San Francisco defense, but the offense isn't really that much better. Kenny Pickett isn't really that much better prepared to handle NFL defenses. Again, they get another one Monday night against Cleveland.
Well, the game has to go your way for Pickett to run what he needs to run, and you're still hamstrung by Matt Canada. I was asked by people around the building, like, you okay with Matt Canada now after preseason? I was like, no. Like, no. So yeah, I just feel bad all the way around. And all these gimme games in week 1, and the Steelers had to go against San Francisco.
Yeah.
Thanks. Anyway, I said it wouldn't hurt me. Arizona and Washington is up next. So the game turned out how we thought, right? Okay, 2016, we thought the Commanders would win. Is it a situation where you don't really have to put the foot on the gas? Washington's kind of learning things with Sam Howell. We'll get to them in a little bit. Let's talk about those hot Arizona Cardinals. You're not starting anybody.
Nobody.
James Conner, maybe. Nobody, buddy. Maybe 14 for 62 for James Conner, I guess. 5 catches. That'll help in PPR leagues. Rondale Moore, 3 for 33. Marquise Brown, 3 for 28. And how long until they trade him to Denver? Anyway, 2 for 23 for Trey McBride. I mean, just nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing for Arizona.
No, and Washington's defense isn't that great. They didn't have Chase Young. We'll see if he ever becomes what folks expected. But Joshua Dobbs wasn't that bad. Still not good enough to make a good fantasy play in their passing game. James Conner, just like Rachaad White, this is why they were some of the last running backs that were starters to go off the board, because it wasn't going to be high-quality touches. Arizona did get a defensive touchdown to keep this one close. I think it says more about Washington and the caliber team they are that this was close than it says about Arizona. And we'll see Arizona play the Giants next week.
Washington side. And there's Brian Robinson. And please, public service announcement, if you ask us a fantasy question, don't just say B. Robinson, because I don't know who you're talking about. Is it Bijan or is it Brian? It's probably another B. Rob. B. Rabbit sitting around somewhere. Sam Howell, 19 for 31, 202 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. The touchdown to, there you go, Brian Robinson. And also Robinson at 19 for 59 on the ground, a catch for 7 yards, and that aforementioned receiving touchdown. Curtis Samuel, 5 for 54. Logan Thomas, 4 for 43. Jahan Dotson, 5 for 40. Oh, Terry McLaurin, 2 for 31. We knew he was banged up going into this one. So this is what you get, and they're working on it. Eric Bieniemy's working on it. But 31 passes, 28 rushes. Balance, Danielson.
Yeah, they get the win. There were some, again, hairy moments. Sam Howell taking a sack deep in his own territory within 2-minute drill at the end of the first half, maybe ill-advised. Arizona's front seven better than expected, both against the run and the pass. Look at the passing game here. Jahan Dotson and Curtis Samuel look like better plays right now than Terry McLaurin, who wasn't on the injury report at the end of the week, but maybe still is not 100%. We'll see. This was a game that he should have been able to get deep or beat one of these anonymous Arizona corners. We did see Brian Robinson used a lot more, even got the receiving touchdown, than Antonio Gibson. And I wonder, Cecil, if Antonio Gibson may be coming to a shut him down segment close near us.
Or a trade. If you're Indianapolis, how do you not trade for Antonio Gibson right now?
Yeah, I mean,
right now.
It certainly doesn't seem like he's going to be a point of emphasis in this offense like we had hoped. And by the way, Washington next comes out to Denver. So you're going to get to talk to Eric Bieniemy.
I am trying to contain myself.
Yeah.
Watch my post-game show if you want to see me truly go off. Next up, it's Raiders and it's Broncos. I won't belabor it because both teams suck. Sorry to Jason, our pot stoner degenerate up in Greeley. Thanks for coming out to the show, Jason.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
AFC West leading Raiders.
Raiders, yeah. And I've hung out with Jason a couple of times, man. You want to talk about kicking the ass? Like, yes. Get back on Twitter, dude. What do you have against Elon? It's so terrible. Anyway, Raider side of things. Jimmy Garoppolo. Keeping plays like his jersey was clean. Didn't get sacked at all. 17-16 is the final score, by the way. Jimmy G, 20 and 26, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT, both touchdowns to Jacoby Myers, 9 for 81 and 2 touchdowns. Why? Because Damari Mathis is not good at football, and they're going to avoid Pat Surtain, and this is going to be the case. So whoever the number 2 is for every team, we just talked about the Commanders, right, Bloom?
Yeah.
Run this through your Bloom brain computer.
Yeah.
The number 2 for the Commanders is going to get Damari Mathis, which means he's going to score. So this is what's going to happen. You're going to stay away from Pat Surtain, and you're going to go after the other guy. Devontae Adams, 6 for 66. Devil, get out. Josh Jacobs, the Broncos have been burned by Josh Jacobs. Well, 19 for 48. They made an effort to stop him. 2 for 23 as a receiver. Not much else from anyone else. But the Raiders, with the Chargers losing, the Chiefs losing, and the Broncos getting beat by the Raiders, they are alone at the top of the AFC West.
Yeah, Jimmy was solid. That's what you hope for from him. Jacoby Myers, you laid out the roadmap of how he ends up having a big game. He did get banged up in this one. We're going to have to watch the injury report to see what he's up to. Devontae Adams did enough, and we saw Devontae Adams, at least one of the games last year, really go off against Denver. They contained him, and they really did a good job containing Josh Jacobs. But with Jimmy Garoppolo solid and the Raiders competitive, at least against teams like Denver, Jacobs is going to have his days. Let's see Las Vegas, what you can do up in Buffalo next week.
Yeah, and let's see what they're going to do with Will Lutz. I don't talk about kickers. I hate kickers. I hate talking about kickers. I hate
you, Urban
thinking
Meyer?
about kickers. Yeah. I mean, he's your guy, and I don't know about you, Bloom, but Brett Maher looked pretty good today.
Yeah.
Kicking for the Rams. Spoiler alert, we'll get to their game in a little bit, but damn it, you go to Will Lutz, he misses an extra point on your first touchdown. Awful. Misses a 55-yarder, whatever, you're at altitude, man.
Yeah.
Come on, you're Peyton's guy. And Sean Payton got rid of Brandon McManus, allegedly, I have to say this, allegedly, because he had a personality. Okay. I could give a damn. I don't care if my kicker wears a jock on his head. Does he make the kicks? What are we doing here? Let's get to the running backs. Someone in the chat room was like, is Jaleel McLaughlin still 1B? Yeah. When they actually use him and block for him, he had a catch for -7 yards today. And Samaje Perine trying to dance too much. Nothing worked. Nothing. Yeah. Cortland Sutton, 4 for 37 and a touch. Whatever. Little Jordan with a touchdown. Nobody starting him. Whatever. Russell was okay. This is the Joe Lombardi offense. So for people bagging on Russ, Russell Wilson, blah, 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 it's Joe Lombardi. The dude almost ruined single-handedly Justin Herbert and his potential and upside. Herbert was just so damn good. He played through it, but still wasn't as good as he needed. Anyway, I'm belaboring this thing. This team sucks. Okay. And Javonte, and we give credit to Javonte. He's coming back from a major injury, but just and don't get me started on Jerry Jeudy, who will be back next week, most likely. Judy's not saving this. So I'm excited for Jaleel still to this day. But damn it, there's just 17 points, Bloom.
Yeah, 17
How
points.
many years have we been talking about? And by the way, Pat Shurmur, we were practicing incompletions. Pat Shurmur is helping Dion in Boulder. And not just in an advisory role. Pat Shurmur is in Dion's ear. As the Buffaloes are the story in the nation. Anyway, I'd rather talk about Dion than...
Yeah, I know, really. This is going to be the...
Being around Dion, you see the aura, Charlie Murphy saw around.
Yeah.
You see this orange aura around Rick James. That's Dion has that as well.
Yeah, I agree. Every time we talk about the Broncos, let's just talk about Deion Sanders. Russell Wilson, like you said, he's by design dink and dunk. You had Jerry Jeudy. He's not going to change the character of this offense. It's not going to be consistent fantasy play. Greg Dulcich got banged up. Adam Troutman, there's one of Sean Payton's guys. He was okay, I guess. You have the split backfield, even without McLaughlin playing a big role. There's just not enough meat on the bone in this offense. This is the Raiders' defense. It shouldn't have been that tough.
It's not that hard.
This should have been a more encouraging opening game, even without Jerry Jeudy. But this is how it is. And yeah, I think that we'll look forward to this. This is kind of like the big sisters, little sisters. This was the matchup of the little sisters. And again, Denver, you can't beat Washington next week. It's going downhill real fast.
Yeah, here we go. Miami Dolphins. I feel so good for Dolphins fans. 36-34 over the Los Angeles Chargers. And what a game this was. I can't wait to go back and watch it because I had to watch the Broncos. Anyway.
Sorry.
Tua Tagovailoa, 28-45, 466, 3 touchdowns, 1 INT. I love Mike McDaniel. Tyreek Hill is him. Is that what the kids are saying?
Yeah.
He is him. 11 for 215 and 2 touches. And we had suggested it during the show, Bloom, in the offseason. Like, you haven't seen the best from Tyreek Hill. Think about that. What? You haven't seen the best from Tyreek Hill. You saw it today. Why did Jalen Waddle only get 5 targets? 4 for 78 on the day. Durham Smythe 3 for 44. Braxton Berrios 3 for 42. Why are we talking about that? Raheem Mostert at a rushing touchdown. Miami. Okay, I feel really good for Dolphins fans. Hope Tua stays healthy and they keep it together. But this is it's a fun offense to watch.
Yeah, it is. And Tua's healthy and Tua's confident, and he's going to take those shots. And you have to love that Mike McDaniel sees, you can just see no fear in how this team plays on offense. You really enjoy this. And obviously you're enjoying for fantasy shades of week 2 last year against Baltimore. And yeah, Tua is one of the biggest hits, one of the biggest winners of week 1, along with Tyreek Hill. And see, so one of the things that I think comes out of week 1 too is, Jamar Chase aside, you see why maybe it was not to get the number 1 pick, but to get one of the top 5 picks, to get a Hill, to get a McCaffrey, to get an Eckler. It's an advantage. I mean, it ended up being maybe more of a distinct advantage than we thought when we were looking at which draft slot do I hope I get. Mostert did enough, but the running game still took a backseat to Tua, and they were using everybody. Like you said, the little guys, Berrios, River Craycraft. You've got Alec Ingold making catches for big yardage. So, and Jalen Waddle's going to have his big day eventually. Don't worry. This is a floor game for Jalen Waddle because it was a ceiling game. And boy, that ceiling goes higher and higher. And next week, Miami goes to Foxborough.
Yeah, let's talk about the Chargers. And did they make a mistake with Joshua Kelly's touches? Should he be getting more? What does that mean? And we'll be talking about Kelly on the waiver wire show for some leagues. And Kelly and Austin Eckler both with 16 carries, 16, 117 and a touch for Austin, 4 for 47 as a receiver, 16 for 91 and a touch for Joshua Kelly. Justin Herbert got in on the rushing touchdown action with 1, 5 for 18 on the ground, then 23 of 33, 228, 1 touchdown, no INTs. The touchdown, Donald Parham, who's 7 feet tall. Yeah. Mike Williams, 4 for 45. Keenan Allen, 6 for 76. There you go. Quentin Johnson dynasty. We'll wait. Just wait, everybody. 2 for 9 in this one, but they fall short. Miami storming back for that win.
Yeah, see, it's funny. Kellen Moore goes from Dallas to LA, and it kind of looks like the Dallas offense, right? I mean, you're going to lead with the running game. And Justin Herbert is not going to necessarily be the master of the destiny of this offense, but that's okay because Austin Eckler is really good. Joshua Kelly looks really good in this running game, and that was the best face forward for this offense. You did see Keenan Allen and Mike Williams didn't do as much as Allen. Allen did okay. Like you said, Parham got the touchdown, not Gerald Everett, but at the same time, and Herbert did at least get the rushing touchdown to have a solid fantasy week, but it just feels like it's in the DNA of the Chargers. They're going to find a way to lose. They're going to have games. I think Miami is a good team. It's certainly a quality win if you can beat Miami. They had it in their grasp. They let it slip away, and now they have to face a team that is a tough out when they go to Tennessee next week.
Keep an eye on Dave. Our friend in the chat room says Eck had a little ankle tweak.
Okay.
So we'll watch out for that. Let's watch out for our next game up, which is Philadelphia and New England. 25-20, the final score. Eagles get the win. Patriots got some numbers, though. We'll get to them in just a little bit. Let's talk Jalen Hurts, 22 of 33, 170. 1 touchdown, no INTs, 9 for 37. Okay. You want a little more. A.J. Brown, 7 for 79. Okay. Devontae Smith, 7 for 47 and a touchdown. Cool. Watching the backfield splits, it was lots of Kenneth Gainwell, 14 for 54, and then 4 for 20 as a receiver. Quez Watkins, 2 for 17. Dallas Goedert did nothing. I need to slow down, Bloom. Or drink less caffeine, which I don't know if that's possible, but either way, Philly gets the win, but it's like disappointing from a fantasy lens.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts, Eagles' offense held down by Bill Belichick's defense in this one, but they get the win. They get every win in the NFL is sweet, especially when you're on the road. Kenneth Gainwell was the lead back. Didn't do anything that notable for fantasy because it was a rough day for this offense. But you did see AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith, a lot of short catches and the touchdown. Like you said, not Dallas Goedert. It was a rough week for preseason hype. It was a rough week for looking good in the preseason, carrying over from camp. A lot of that momentum hit a brick wall. After an early big lead, Philly's offense hit a brick wall, but they got it together and they face again that Minnesota defense that Baker Mayfield took advantage of today. That's who Philly gets to bounce back against on Thursday.
Yeah, New England Patriots. Let's talk about that situation. And, well, Mac Jones, 316, 3 touchdowns, 1 INT. What? 54 passing attempts, huh? And then Ezekiel Elliott, 7 for 29. Ramondre Stevenson, 12 for 25. Kendrick Bourne, 6 for 64 and 2 touchdowns. 6 for 64, no touchdowns for Ramondre Stevenson. 5 for 56. It's the alliteration game, everybody. And then 1 touchdown for Hunter Henry. And then I still love Demario Douglas, 7-11, always open, 4 for 40 in this contest. Mike Gesicki, 3 for 36. Okay. Juju Smith-Schuster, 4 for 33. So again, we're learning, but I just feel like if you grab Kendrick Bourne next week on the waiver wire, you probably get burned if you start him in week 2. I don't know. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, we'll see. Mac Jones looking better with Bill O'Brien. Kendrick Bourne getting those 2 touchdowns. Hunter Henry, who did have a good summer, carrying that over. And you're even seeing Demario Pop Douglas involved as much as Juju, looking sprier than Juju. Even Kayshon Boutte, if he just got his foot down. Just learn the toe drag, Kayshon. Philly maybe would have went down on this one. New England had a chance to win on the back of Mac Jones. So, at least in 2 quarterback superflex leagues, you're more interested. In PPR leagues, you're happy with Ramondre Stevenson. I need to slow down too. Ramondre Stevenson got those catches. Zeke had a fumble. Zeke looks like late career Zeke, okay, but he's still going to take some off of Stevenson's plate so he doesn't wear down. So you got the PPR points you're looking for from Stevenson. Didn't get the touchdowns. Again, Kendrick Bourne. And New England, moral victories in the NFL, I don't know, because again, if you can't beat a red hot Tua next week, now you're 0-2, 0-2 at home, 0-1 in the division. So, yeah, wins are what speaks. They did not get this one today.
No, didn't get it. But, well, Green Bay, does Jordan Love say, I own you now? Okay, 38-20 is the final score. And Green Bay gets the win over Chicago. That Chicago defense is not good at football. 38-20, Green Bay side. Jordan Love, 3 touchdowns, no INTs, 15 of 27, 245 yards. You saw Aaron Jones, 2 for 86 and a touchdown, most of it on the 51-yarder. And then 9 for 41 and a rushing touchdown. Good day for him. A.J. Dillon, 13 for 19 on the ground. Oh, a couple catches, 17 yards. Luke Musgrave, 3 for 50. You needed a tight end. Musgrave got you a little something. Romeo Doubs. And as the summer went on and Christian Watson would get some news and there would be some news cycles here and there, the most consistent drumbeat was Romeo Doubs, 4 for 26 and 2 touchdowns. The problem going into this game, 1, you're wondering about Jordan Love. 2, you're wondering about Dobbs' hamstring injury because both he and Watson had hamstring injuries during the week. Either way, Dobbs coming through with those 2 TDs. And, well, what do we think about Jordan Love after his first start against a defense that is not good at football?
Yeah, I think the main takeaway here is we'll try to pick on Chicago. Again, Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield next week. But Jordan Love is going to execute. Again, like Geno Smith, he looks at the wristband. Jordan Love's going to look at the wristband. Maybe Aaron Rodgers wasn't. You can see even without Christian Watson, what they were able to do here with this passing game, especially Aaron Jones. He's so good. He's so good. He's such a good football player. And it looks like if you just said, hey, Aaron Jones is sitting there in the 5th round, late 4th round, I know he's good at football. I don't know what this Packers offense is going to look like, but I'll take my chances. Well, this week he might have won your matchup for you. A.J. Dillon still isn't very good. He's still going to get a lot of touches. Jaden Reed, Luke Musgrave, as the season goes on, might be something there. Romeo Dobbs getting those touchdowns. We'll see what happens when Christian Watson's back. But a very productive game through the air, considering that it was a low volume game, a game that they controlled. And this is a team that's a potential playoff team. And they're facing, again, an Atlanta team next week. They're saying, hey, wait, we're a potential playoff team. One of them will get to wear that crown after week 2.
Chicago side, Justin Fields, 24-37, 216 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 INT, then 9 for 59 to lead the way on the ground. Okay. Darnell Mooney, 4 for 53 and a touch. All right. Cole Kmet, 5 for 44. Okay. Can we get a little more? Khalil Herbert, 3 for 37 as a receiver. Roshan Johnson, 6 for 35 as a receiver. DJ Moore, there should have been more, 2 for 25. Okay. Herbert, 9 for 27 on the ground. Roshan Johnson, 5 for 20 and a rushing touchdown. And then Dante Foreman, 5 for 16. Also a couple of catches. I'm like, okay, so you had to carry the one. You had 11 catches from the running backs. Okay.
Yeah.
You had 24 completions and 11 of them were to running backs. Okay. Yeah. Here we go, Chicago.
Yeah, that's what Luke Getsy had. It is a tough Green Bay defense. So, we'll see. Next week, again, that Tampa defense, maybe we could see a little more success, but we'll see what Chicago does, knowing that they shouldn't try to run because this is a team that wants to run. DJ Moore feels the same as last year. It was a floor game for Justin Fields. So that's a good thing, in so much that his floor is still keeping you afloat. And the ceiling games will come maybe against defenses that don't have his number like Green Bay does. Johnson gets the vulture touchdown and the receptions. Herbert gets enough receptions, but you look at these guys, what the heck flexes. Darnell Mooney gets the touchdown. Cole Kmet gets enough catches to be a good tight end play this week. Packers defense is tough. We'll see what this offense looks like when they maybe can do something closer to what they want to do. But like you said, Cease, is this what you want to do? What do you want to do? I still wonder if at the end of the season, Cease, we may look back and say, yeah, Justin Fields is just going to plateau as a passer, or at least as a passer in this offense.
Yeah, and there we have it. Kyle's chiming in. He's like, thanks, love your show with the TV volume off.
Hey.
I hope we're not on the TV then.
No.
I just appreciate that. I watch YouTube. I watch other than football because, of course, everyone's like, did you watch such and such on Netflix? I'm like, no. Did you watch Quarterback on Netflix? No. Did you watch Hard Knocks on Max? No. I watch a ton of YouTube. Usually I have it on in the background. I'm writing. And then I'll see us on YouTube, Bloom. That's on the TV. But I do check it out on the phone and on the laptop as well, so I can make sure our audio is good. It's not always good.
Thanks, everyone. Y'all are the best, really.
Yeah, you guys are very patient with us. Thank you. Thank you for that. We tie a bow. Did we get everything? We got Rams in Seattle.
Yep.
Is that everything?
That's it.
It's the first Sunday, and I'm feeling it, Bloom. That's why. I got my Bubba. I got to find Bubba. So my coffee mug is Bubba. So I can see the Bubba. I got to find Bubba. I've had 2 of these today. What happened to Cecil? Oh, his heart blew up. Too much coffee. So anyway, I'll miss you guys.
For us. You did it for us.
Rams in Seattle is up next. They're doing it for you, Matthew Stafford. And Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
30-13 the final score. Let's get into this because there's some truth telling about Geno that Seattle fans like. Y'all got your pound of flesh with Russ last year, but when you watch the film on Geno, I'm not saying Drew Lock will start this year, but okay, Matthew Stafford, 24-38, 334 yards, no touchdowns, no INTs, and they said it, Bloom. They said it, and it happened because nobody believes in Van Jefferson, or at least you shouldn't. Tyler Higbee's fine, 3 for 49. Van Jefferson, whatever, 4 for 24. But they said it. Puka Nacua, all offseason. Puka, and Tutu. Puka and Tutu. 6 for 119 for Tutu Atwell. 10 for 119 for Puka Nacua. Beautiful. Kyron Williams, who will be on the waiver wire show.
Yep.
And Williams was a surprise to me in the joint practices with the Broncos. Like, he looked really good. I liked him coming out of Notre Dame. Me and a Matt Waldman argument again about Kyron Williams. And it's a great back and forth because it's like, is he just like a jack of all trades guy or can he actually do a little bit more? Now, 3.5 a carry. Let's not go nuts here. But 2 rushing touchdowns. That's significant. And we'll see how that works out with Cam Akers there. 22 carries and a rushing touchdown for Cam. So as a team, it was like 2.3 a carry, but they ran it 40 times. They passed it 38 times. Sean McVay with balance. Yeah, and a win.
Yeah. And Matthew Stafford looking good. Puka Nakua so hard nosed. I think Cease at this point, based on what we saw today, even when Cooper Kupp is back, which who knows when that's going to be, Nakua doesn't go away. Tutu doesn't go away. And Van Jefferson, he's just not a number one. But it makes sense that these guys, these secondary receivers, would have a big game. Kyron Williams is getting the touches. Don't look at the volume. Kyron Williams was out there more early in the game. I think Kyron Williams is the lead back or the number one back for fantasy for this team, even though the running game has some of the worst. Someone has to look it up, right? Like the most number of carries running for under 2.5 yards a carry or something like that. But it doesn't matter because Stafford was slinging it. And remember, these matchups in the division, no matter what we think about the teams coming into the year, it's based more on how these teams play each other. And the Rams have always played the Seahawks tough. They mostly play the 49ers tough. We'll see. 49ers a little bit different of a draw than the Seahawks right now.
Yeah, a little bit different. Geno Smith, 16 or 26, 112, 1 touchdown, no INTs. It's not Geno's fault. DK Metcalf, 3 for 47 and a touch. Will Dissly, 2 for 17. DJ Dallas, 1 for 14. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 3 for 13. Tyler Lockett, where's he at? Hurt. 2 for 10. Let me know if there's any update there. Kenneth Walker, we want to see how these backfield touches. Well, it's 12 for 64. Okay. They were up 13-7 at half. What happened? Like, you should be 18 rushes. Geno Smith is your quarterback. Like Seattle,
Right.
God bless you. And God bless Geno. Like everything that Geno's been through, we're fans of Geno Smith.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's Geno Smith. Why didn't Walker get 24 carries?
Right.
Why did Zach Charbonnet get 3 carries for 11 yards? Why didn't he get 12 carries? Like, what?
Mhm.
You're ahead. Pete Carroll chomping on the gum. Okay. All right, buddy.
Yeah, I thought he was too dependent on the run, and Walker was running well. So you're actually feeling good if you have Walker, even though it wasn't a good day for Seattle. Metcalf got a touchdown. Lockett, like you said, we're going to monitor their injuries. Smith and Jigba, we'll see. I mean, let's get him up to speed first. But you wonder about Geno Smith. And Warren Sharp had a lot of good stuff in his, I forget what it's called, the yearbook, the almanac, about how, hey, there were small cracks with Geno under pressure, blitzed. There were some signs that defenses can catch up to him. Let's watch this closely. Next week, Seattle has to play Detroit. And Detroit's defense, I know Kelsey didn't play, whatever, but they were very game. So I think that the Rams defense also showed some pride in this one. I think the Seattle barely edging out Detroit last year was how they got into the playoffs. So a little bit of coincidence or deja vu that these teams are playing an early game that could matter later on. And for Seattle, it could matter if they're even in it to pick up where they left off and have more success this year after they got blown out in their own house by the Rams.
All right. I think we got it all. Did we get it all?
Yeah. We'll be back on Tuesday for the waiver wire show if we missed anything.
We did it in
Don't
less than
worry.
an hour.
Yeah, I was shooting for less than an hour. And there's going to be a lot more to talk about. And we'll talk about it all in the preview show.
Oh, yeah.
My upgrades, downgrades, waiver wire will come out tomorrow. I'll have some more time to think about it. And I think if anything, just this week should humble you. It should make you realize no matter what you think you know, there's a lot more that you don't know. And us trying to catch up, we're always trying to catch up, doing it together.
I'm going to trust in Sean Payton less. I know we're all like puppy dogs in the Denver media. Maybe we shouldn't be. I mean, I don't want to take the conversation here, although you and I can have any conversation. Like all the crap that Dion got before the season. Oh, it's just all talk. Oh, it's blustery. Oh, it's just Dion making noise. What was Sean Payton doing? Now look at the results. Now look at where the Buffs are the talk of the nation, and everybody loves Dion. Not everybody loved Dion before he started winning.
Right.
Even those around the team, not on the team. Trust me, those guys believe. Do they believe? But Sean Payton. What's the old song? You got a friend in me. Not feeling real friendly with Sean right now.
No.
Because he does stuff to us on purpose. Like, I know, hey, we got pizza on Friday. Yay. Thank you, Broncos. I appreciate that. I appreciate Damari and I appreciate all those guys. But it's like, these fans need to win. We need to win, Bloom.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's a
There you
Broncos show, and this is another episode of how is it to be Cecil Lammey covering the Denver Broncos? How it is that we're going to have a spinoff. How is it to be Cecil Lammey covering the Colorado Buffaloes? That's going to be a much more uplifting show.
There we go. He's Sigmund. I'm Cecil. We are the Audible. Thank you all very much. See you Tuesday morning. Until next time, we want you to do a few things on this show from Kempo and study some mudras. There's some mudras that'll make you breathe deeper, Bloom. So study your mudra for success.
Mm-hmm.
Upward energy, positive energy. And there we go. Be safe, be kind, know that you're appreciated. Stay tuned, and would you always please stay frosty?